I've got a ruling coming down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Upper Iowa will look to build on the momentum of its first win of 2016 when the Peacocks hit the road to battle the Mustangs of Southwest Minnesota State on Saturday. Joining me to preview this weekend's game is the play-by-play voice of Upper Iowa football, Joe Stasi. And Joe, before we talk about the Mustangs, I want to go back and recap last week's victory, a 35-7 decision over Minot State. Understand an outstanding day, as that score would indicate, with 3 runners going over 100 yards.
Yeah, and again, my real job is I sell advertising, and in advertising, it's about consistency and repetition. And I always like to start off our weekly conversation by thanking you and for giving Upper Iowa some time on the air, having the distinction of being the only NCAA Division II school in the state, and now, of course, in the past 2 or 3 years, acting like it, looking like it on the field, on the mat, on the court, in the classroom, in women's and men's athletics. And, of course, in particular, our conversations are specifically about football and Tom Shea in his 8th season, coming off 3 winning seasons, a rough start, 0-3, close to 15 turnovers. I don't have my numbers in front of me, but 36 points off a turnover is what we had been given up going into this Minot State game the past week at Harms-Eichheit Stadium. And Upper Iowa put 4 quarters of football together in all phases of the game, offensively, defensively, and special teams, and came away with a 35-7 win over Minot State to improve to 3-0 all-time against the Beavers. And as you mentioned, Upper Iowa really got the job done on the ground, and it's unlike Tom Shea to rush for 338 yards, or his teams to rush for 338 yards, and they only passed for 106. And quarterback Dimitri Morales was back in the lineup for Upper Iowa, the 6'2", 210-pounder out of California. The transfer in last year, as you remember, and as some of our listeners might know, he was hurt in the 7th game, was leading the conference in many categories, and he had 133 yards on the ground and 8 carries, including a 71-yard run. He had a touchdown. And Derek Portis in our backfield, we have him back in the lineup. He missed a game or 2 the first 2 games. He's a smaller back, kind of a thunder and lightning in that backfield for Upper Iowa. Derek Portis is a 5'10", 185-pounder out of Lompoc, California. Derek had a terrific game, 15 carries, 117 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Ryan Parmley, his 3rd game in a row where he's had over 90 yards. The sophomore at Delhi, Iowa, the 6', 215-pounder, just continues to be the thunder in that backfield. 12 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. And of course, you got to give it up for the big guys up front. Offensive line did a terrific job. Center Gunnar Mose, Jalen Chambers, Quentin Taylor, Ryan Ike, and Brian Steffelsmeyer did a terrific job making some holes for these guys to run through.
You mentioned the turnovers, and that's plagued Upper Iowa the first 3 weeks of the season. How big of a momentum lift was the victory last Saturday for the Peacocks?
Well, it wasn't a surprise. If Upper Iowa takes care of the football, they can compete with anybody in this league, and it's a credit to Tom Shea and his staff for recruiting and getting these kids in the program and redshirting these kids and getting them bigger, faster, stronger, and recruiting the right type of student athlete. But Upper Iowa, we had 1 pick. It was no surprise. We took care of the football, and we had 4 or 5 yards. I think we averaged 4.7 yards on first down, which is very important. But no, you take care of the football, and Upper Iowa has a chance against anybody in this league. And some of we have four teams that are ranked nationally in NCAA Division II, and now, over the past, starting, 4 years ago, we can say, hey, we can lace it up against anybody if we play mistake-free football.
Peacocks, up until now, have played all interdivision teams in the Northern Sun Conference. This will be the first South Division game for Upper Iowa as they take on the Mustangs of Southwest Minnesota State this Saturday evening. You look at the numbers of this game, Joe, and it looks like this would be a very tough assignment for the Peacocks defense. As you're well aware, this Southwest Minnesota State football team is averaging almost 43 points a game and have racked up over 500 yards of offense in each of their outings this year.
Yeah, they're insane. They're a really good NCAA Division II football team. We've lost 8 straight to these guys. We're 10-2 lifetime against Southwest Minnesota State. 7 of those ball games have been decided by 7 points or less. 2 of them in overtime, and we've lost all of them. So it's just we've been bitten by the unfortunate bug when we play these guys. And Blake Gimbel is their quarterback. He's out of Marshalltown, and he throws the football to Ty Stephenson. He's also from Marshalltown. Very good chemistry there. They're 8-3. They're 8-3 last year. They're 3-1 this year. They beat a top 25 team in the University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs, and they have 3 really good running backs: Devontae Beal, Max Simmons, and Ashante Payne. They can go to any of them, and then they have 5 wide receivers that Blake Gimbel spreads the football out to. So a very, very high-scoring team, as you mentioned. They don't hold the football for very long offensively, but they only possess the ball for 25 minutes a game, so they score on big plays. They protect their quarterback, and they've scored 17 out of 19 times in the red zone, all touchdowns. So they rank in the top 10 or 12 in scoring offense, rushing offense, and total offense in the country, and 4th in NCAA Division II on third down conversion. So they execute really well, and they have players to do it.
You mentioned that Upper Iowa's had a lot of success running the football this year. They've struggled somewhat passing. How important is it for the Peacocks to get the passing game going against Southwest Minnesota State?
Oh, very important. I mean, we've got some things shored up in our backfield again with Ryan Parmley and Derek Portis. The timing hasn't been the best for our quarterbacks this year. Brent Lammers has come on and done a fine job with Dimitri going down, and now Dimitri needs to have a game where he can find some protection and hit his wide receivers. He definitely has the tools to do it, and Jared Edmonds and Jalen Amos and David Eswine. But these guys, and Trey McTaggart's going to be out this week with a concussion, so we'll see who steps up there, either Skylar Lehman or Jacob Raggy. But there's no question about it. Upper Iowa has to have a solid game out of our quarterback and our passing game. We can't be one-dimensional against Southwest Minnesota State. Otherwise, they'll just stuff up the run all day long. And that is one of their downfalls. They're 121st in the country in rushing defense. So passing defense, they're 32nd in the country. So they're very tight in the secondary, and they put pressure on the quarterback. But I think Tom Shea has a great plan up front for the Big Uglies to protect Dimitri Morales, get him outside the pocket, get the ball out in space to some of our athletic wide receivers, and see what happens.
And it looks like special teams could play a pivotal role in this game, too. Southwest Minnesota State's holding nearly a 10-point average in kick return yardage over their opponents in each of their games this year.
Yeah, Upper Iowa has struggled for years as far as what they do after possessing the ball, and I think Tom Shea's philosophy is, and kicks, catch the dang ball and secure it. They smother people on special teams. They have a terrific punter and a kicker. Always, special teams usually is one of the main factors when you talk about what are the categories. You can sit and talk coach speak all day long with turnovers, third down conversions, and special teams. So Upper Iowa with Brady Boyschel, I want him to have another chance to kick some field goals. He is still hurting from Minnesota State University Moorhead game where he missed a winning field goal, chip shot. Special teams are always important.
8 straight losses against Southwest Minnesota State. Can the Peacocks get it done here, get their first win since 2004?
There's no question they can win it. They need to secure the football, eliminate turnovers, and create some of their own. They need to finish drives and just have to match Southwest Minnesota State points. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but Southwest Minnesota State's going to score points on you. They're going to come up with some big plays, and you have to limit those big plays. It's on the road. It's homecoming. It's going to be a huge crowd. It's going to be a fun game call, and I hope we have a lot of folks listening in because there'll be quite a few folks staying back and listening to the game pregame at 5:35, kickoff at 6 o'clock.
That's right, from Marshall, Minnesota, at Matkey Field at the Schwann Regional Events Center. And Joe Stasi will have the call of that game coming up here on AM 950 KOEL. And Joe, appreciate your time as always.
Always, Elwin. We appreciate your work. You're a pro. We love your program, and Upper Iowa wants to give you a high five. Thank you so much for the time each week.